The intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Karoline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First on Secretary Rubio. He put out a statement in 2020 following the Senate Intelligence Committee report. He said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this, that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were never...
Karoline Leavitt gave one of the most brutal smackdowns we've ever seen during a recent White House press briefing. Every time Kaitlan Collins tried to agitate the situation, Karoline silenced her. This one was wild, relentless, intense, and unstoppable.
Dr. Gabbard, you referenced the past intelligence reports and assessments on this, including that 2017 one that was signed off, as Ed noted, by every Republican on the Senate Intelligence Community, including the acting chair of the time, now Secretary of State Marco Rubio, who said in a statement that they did not find any evidence of Russian collusion, but they did find, however, is very troubling, and they found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling. One, are you saying that he's wrong in that statement he made then? And secondly, what would you say to people who believe that you're only releasing these documents now to improve your standing with the president after he said that your intelligence assessments were wrong?
When Tulsi Gabbard disclosed startling information about her beloved Barack Obama, Kaitlan first casts doubt on her motivations. Let me tell you about the play. Obama is under criticism, and Kaitlan is in full damage control mode. Her plan? Discredit Tulsi and stay out of the heat. But Gabbard would have none of it. She anticipated it and responded with a power move that fundamentally altered the situation. She not only defended herself but also burned the story and the man who wrote it. Fire, fire, fire.
Well, first I want to correct something that you stated, which was citing the Senate Intelligence Committee's report as being one and the same. I think you said the Intelligence Committee. The Senate Intelligence Committee has a very different function than the Office of the Director of National Intelligence.
Kaitlan entered the confrontation with a kitchen knife, while Tulsi Gabbard arrived with a double-edged sword that sliced right through Kaitlan's polished media persona. The worst thing? The Senate Intelligence Committee and the Office of the Director of National Intelligence are two quite different entities, but Kaitlan couldn't tell them apart. A beginner mistake. More than merely a terrible experience, being humiliated by Tulsi in front of millions of people is a significant setback for one's career. You could practically see the egg dribbling as she tried to keep her face intact. Tulsi wasn't finished yet. In order to burn her once more, she gave Karoline Leavitt Kaitlan. I think you should watch this.
The evidence and the intelligence that has been declassified and released is irrefutable. I'm going to let Karoline speak to Secretary Rubio.
I'll speak to both questions. First on Secretary Rubio. He put out a statement in 2020 following that Senate Intelligence Committee report, and he said what they found is troubling. We found irrefutable evidence of Russian meddling, which the Director of National Intelligence just confirmed for all of you, that Russia was trying to sow distrust and chaos. But what's the outrage in this, that Secretary Rubio did not say at the time, the Democrats were saying at the time, is the fact that the intelligence community was concocting this narrative that the president colluded with the Russians, that the president's son was holding secret meetings with the Russians. All of these lies that were never true.
Karoline Leavitt, the queen of clapbacks, lit up the room with another vicious takedown. Her goal this time? Marco Rubio's comments were distorted by Kaitlan Collins. In an apparent attempt to demonstrate Russian penetration, she presented him as an anti-Trumper who had changed his mind and was now a MAGA supporter. The problem is that Rubio never said that Russia and Trump were plotting. That narrative was produced by the Democratic establishment and disseminated by its media allies. It would not sit well with Leavitt. Equipped with information and a wrecking ball, she destroyed the spin in real time. Karoline is leading the charge, altering the path, and creating hits that will stick in your memory. She is bold, uninhibited, and unavoidable.
He also said at that time, we discovered deeply troubling actions taken by the FBI under Comey, particularly their acceptance and willingness to rely on the Steele dossier without verifying its methodology or sourcing. The Steele dossier that many outlets in this room ran as the gospel truth, and it was cooked up and paid for by the Clinton campaign.
That in itself is brave. Karoline Leavitt earned her roses during that press briefing by destroying all media outlets. especially those that had previously revered the Steele dossier. Unadulterated political passion without any research or fact-checking. I remember when it originally came out, every show and late-night segment clung to it like a political thriller, creating endless conspiracy theories about Russia and Trump. Then the truth struck. It was basically unfounded rumors and political fiction. After they were caught red-handed, Karoline made sure the media publicly displayed their shame. She reminded the nation that their credibility was tarnished in addition to criticizing them.
As for your second question, Kaitlan, I think who is saying that she would release this to try to boost her standing with the president? Who has said that?
Well, the president has publicly undermined her when it came to Iran. He said she was wrong. He told me that she didn't know what she was talking about. That was on Air Force One on camera.
The only people who are suggesting that the Director of National Intelligence would release evidence to try to boost her standing with the president are the people in the room who constantly try to sow distrust and chaos amongst the president's cabinet, and it is not working.
Another biting article from Karoline Leavitt, who is quickly becoming one of the boldest and most astute press secretary to ever stand behind the White House podium. This time, CNN's Kaitlan Collins provided bait by claiming that Tulsi Gabbard disclosed startling information about Barack Obama to win over Trump. Karoline, she wasn't biting. She promptly stopped it, proving that Tulsi never spoke, implied, or hinted at such a motive. That storyline? Another left-wing fantasy to cause strife among Trump's followers. As Karoline methodically dissected the phony story, fact by fact, it was evident that Kaitlan was losing her mind. When the cameras roll and the room is dead silent, it's one of the scariest, most amazing scenes you'll see from the briefing room.
I will just answer your question directly. I am with the President of the United States every day. He has the utmost confidence in Director Gabbard. He always has. He continues to. And that is true of his entire cabinet, who is all working as one team to deliver on the promises this president made.
Karoline Leavitt's burial of Kaitlan Collins in the press briefing room was the final nail in the coffin. No wriggle room, no spin, just a clean, accurate takedown. By fabricating tales, snipping videos, and twisting the facts, she revealed the left's obsession with toppling Trump at all costs. What is the flashpoint? Kaitlan played a clipped 18-second video of Tulsi Gabbard on U.S. actions in Iran. When a reporter presented it up to Trump, hoping for outrage, he gently pointed out that it didn't reflect what Gabbard had actually said. There is no scandal, just the facts. However, the media apparatus twisted it into fiction. While Kaitlan was racing to recover, Karoline not only corrected the record but also disclosed the stunt. Devastating, calculating, and cold.
Documents revealed that the Obama administration did not publish a December 2016 presidential daily briefing that demonstrated that Russia did not steal the election. Trump was receiving these briefings at the time because he was president-elect. Are you of the view that that information was kept out of the briefing because then President-elect Donald Trump would have seen it?
I don't have any documents that speak to exactly what the new guidance was that was given as the reason for pulling that document, which, by the way, still has never been published until we released it last week, Friday. One could assume that they didn't want President Trump to see a document that came from the intelligence community that would contradict the Russia hoax narrative that began through the Hillary Clinton campaign with the Steele dossier.
Democrats take pleasure in presenting themselves as morally upright, but this is a smoke and mirrors act. They accuse Trump of being dishonest, but their own tactics paint him in a lenient light. They had the data and evidence to show that the allegation of Russian involvement was false. But instead of coming clean, Obama and Biden chose to keep quiet, using the Steele dossier as a sort of sacred book to attack Trump and mislead the people. Now the mask is being removed. This is not a party that defends democracy. Rather, it is the maker of a political fantasy. The same people who advocated for transparency and honesty were also peddling lies. As Karoline Leavitt rightly notes, the American people deserve the truth, not theatrics. Finally, the longest-running program on the left is ending.
Do you or the White House believe that the Supreme Court's immunity decision protects Obama from prosecution?
and he wants to see all those who perpetuated this fraud against our country, who betrayed our country and the Constitution, to be thoroughly investigated and held accountable. And it's been 10 years of this, and I would just add, based on everything the director has said and declassified, all of you in this room should go through it and take a look at this report and review the intelligence, because unfortunately that hasn't happened. And many of the people who perpetuated this hoax, Clapper, Andy McCabe, James Comey, and many others, have been hired by major networks in this room to go on television and continue to spew these lies, knowing that they are lies.
Those who have entangled this country in the Russian collusion hoax must be held accountable. Whether it happens in the courtroom, at the polls, or in some other way is debatable, but the harm was real and the deception was deliberate. Is it possible to prosecute Barack Obama? That decision will be made by the legal system. But his inner circle included influential people, many of whom Karoline Leavitt openly attacked. They utilized federal power against an incumbent president, purposefully spread false information, and undermined public trust. Such abuse cannot be disregarded. The American people demand justice, and the era of political elites dodging responsibilities must end. It wasn't business as usual, this was intentional sabotage.
Flashback to 2016 and the years after, the entire Trump 1 presidency was embroiled in this scandal that was perpetuated by the Democrat Party, who went on television and told the American people Donald Trump is an asset of Russia. It was a lie. They always knew it. Hillary Clinton herself said that President Trump would be a puppet for Putin. Senator Tim Kaine at the time called President Trump Vladimir Putin's defense lawyer. Adam Schiff stated, and one of the worst things a lawmaker can do, he said, "I can tell you that the case is more than that. I can't go into the particulars, but there is more than circumstantial evidence now." And not enough people in this room, not enough journalists in this country pushed Adam Schiff to say, what are you talking about? What evidence do you have?
It wasn't just a failure to challenge legacy media that was the story. Instead of publicizing the topic, they were fighting to keep Donald Trump from ever reclaiming power with Democratic support. Objectivity is lost. Integrity is abandoned. Not enough evidence? No problem, as long as it damaged Trump's reputation, it made the main page. Political theatrics and clickbait without any research or reliable sources. Instead of just repeating the lie, they promoted, exaggerated, and sold it as gospel truth. There were no retractions or apologies when the truth came to light. Instead, there was silence and a move on to the next fictitious scandal. But we haven't forgotten. Democracy continues to be undermined, fragmented, and mistrusted. These were not watchdogs. They were partisan operators with press credentials. Karoline Leavitt exposed this network of collaboration, revealing a purposeful assault on truth itself. Accountability is the logical next step now that the lies have been revealed. There must be an immediate end to the media's unchecked lying.